Hello, my name is Tracey Hawkins, and I am a mother of three boys at that. And our youngest two sons both have autism. And I came about this autism journey back in 2018. Both of our younger two sons were diagnosed with autism 7 months apart from one another. And as you can imagine, it was hard hearing it the first time, but then hearing it for a second time. And at that time, James Preston, our middle son, was 3.5, and Adam, he had just turned 2, so he was 2 and like 4 months old. And like many parents, when you first start seeing things being a little different, maybe from your friends' kids, at the time, my husband and we just kind of chalked it up to James Preston entering into the terrible twos a little earlier than other kids. But then we started noticing the changes that would happen if he opened a cookie out of a package and that cookie would crumble. He would have a lot of emotions surrounding that incident. If there were any changes in his day, he would be overwhelmed with emotions. But again, my husband and I were just thinking that it's just James Preston, right? It's his personality. Didn't think anything more. Then he entered, and we started noticing these changes, I would say probably right around 18 months to 2 years old. And then he entered preschool. And preschool was very interesting for us because that routine was hard for him to kind of pick up on if it was a change. We also started noticing his verbal abilities. He would have the words. Say at 2 years old, when you go to the doctor, maybe you should have 150 words or 200 words. He was always on the lower end of the number of words that a child should have for his age. And language was one of those things where the doctor didn't really want to put any kind of intervention in place because she thought it was language, it's okay, children develop at their own pace, right? And that once he gets in pre-K, he will catch up with his peers and it will be okay. So again, we just kind of said, okay, all is well, got into preschool, and it was the help of his preschool teacher, actually, that said there might be something more here. And I remember the day I said, are you sure? Are you sure it's not just the terrible twos? And she said, no, I think it's something more. She was very gentle, very, very sweet. To this day, we still have a relationship with her. So with her suggestion, we took James Preston to get assessed for sensory processing challenges. And we met with an occupational therapist who, to this day, we continue to have a great relationship with. I feel very fortunate that we have had some incredible members within our son's village and our family village to really help us along the way. And it was the occupational therapist that she knew at that time I wasn't ready to hear the diagnosis of autism. And I could jive with sensory processing challenges, right? And it's like almost she could sense that about me, right? So she was very sweet and kind of making sure we provided all of the necessary resources to surround James Preston to be successful in his day. So that's when I learned about the importance of a visual schedule. That's when I learned about the importance of teaching him emotion regulation, coping strategies, right? That's when I learned about how important it was to keep him not just active, but really provide him with activities that would give his body the input and output that he needed, right? So we to this day, again, we call her Mary the Great. Her name is Mary Hart, and she was his occupational therapist. And she guided us through. She really equipped us with the strategies that he would need to be successful. So at that time, we started seeing some of the delays in Adam, our youngest son. But at that time, I just thought there's no way that this could happen a second time, right? So I kind of put it out of sight, out of mind, because emotionally, I just wasn't ready to hear autism again. So we got James Preston in the kind of therapies that he needed, gave him speech therapy, gave him occupational therapy, gave him some like play group setting therapy. And he was really starting to thrive. And started noticing the triggers that was happening within his day. So at this point, because we started seeing more and more signs and symptoms of autism, we went ahead and had the full assessment for autism. And like I said, he received it in February of 2018, James Preston did. And at this time, I could no longer just turn a blind eye to Adam's signs and symptoms, because they were a bit different from James Preston, where James Preston was more emotional and behavioral. Adam was more, you could see, it was almost like he hit 16 months and he stopped speaking. And I remember doing these little silly tests at the time, right? If I heard an airplane in the sky, I would ask Adam, I would, see if he would look over at the airplane or pay attention to the airplane if I had pointed it out. He stopped responding to his name. He stopped making eye contact. And I said, okay, we can do this. You can do this, Mama. It was like I had to motivate myself. I had to get myself together. And it was one of my mentors through my graduate school program, which was like 5 to 8 years before I had kids. Yeah. But I still, again, maintain a relationship with him. And I reached out to him and I told him about James Preston's diagnosis. And then I told him about Adam's signs and symptoms. And I said, these are quite different. And I have to be honest, I'm scared. And he said, it's not about you. It is about that baby. And you fought and you prayed for these babies. And now you have an opportunity to mother them in the way that they need to. And every second that you delay in meeting Adam's needs is a time that you're not being the mother that he needs. And that spoke volumes to me, because prior to James Preston's birth, my husband and I, we had our fertility struggles. We had 3 miscarriages. So once I was able to maintain my pregnancy and have James Preston and then get pregnant and maintain the pregnancy with Adam and have Adam, when my mentor said that to me, I said, okay, again, let's do this. You can do this, Mama. And we started the process with Adam and getting him assessed. And because James Preston already had an autism diagnosis, we were able to kind of, they kind of like put us in the process a little sooner, because they saw, okay, if you're already seeing the signs and symptoms, more than likely he is going to receive the diagnosis. And we want to hurry up and get him into those critical therapies to begin his process, right? So we started the process, and sure enough, he received his autism diagnosis. So at this point, 2018, Adam received his diagnosis in September of 2018. So that fall of 2018, I was really sad. I had a lot of guilt. I had all these emotions, and thinking that this was something that I did to my children. And I couldn't see the blessing. I couldn't see the positive. All I focused on was this diagnosis and all the things that, hearing during the assessment process, how to prepare myself, that, your child may never ride a bike, your child may never do team sports, your child may never speak, like all of these things, focusing on it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I remember the emotions. I remember the feelings of defeat. All of these negative and hard emotions that I put on myself. And it wasn't until I started really finding my tribe and my community of like-minded mothers, and most importantly, self-advocates. And once I plugged into that self-advocate network and hearing from other kids and adults and individuals that had autism, I was able to kind of change my way of thinking, right? I was able to see all the things that they could do. I was able to appreciate the fullness of the different ways that we can communicate and express love and express emotions. And I feel like I was able to reconnect with my sons again, and be the mother that they needed, that would champion them and that would advocate for them, and be their voice until I knew that they could be the voice for themselves and others. And we got our sons in the necessary therapies. Adam kind of took a similar therapeutic route as James Preston did. We got him in speech, we got him in OT, we got him in like play development therapies, and we got him plugged into Adam. We were able to find a preschool in our community, in our city, through the help of one of our universities, North Carolina Central University, within their speech department. They had a preschool that was like 2 or 3 days a week that really helped kids that had speech and language challenges or disorders or disabilities, and really helped them facilitate and learn language. We got him plugged in there. We were able to kind of pair that with another preschool, the same preschool that James Preston went to. And again, we were really building that village of support and community that my children needed, but also me and my husband and our other son, our family needed, to really support our younger ones. So 2018, it was also when I had this idea for an app, the Thrive app. And it came about and was inspired by James Preston, because as he was in pre-kindergarten, I started seeing, or in 2018 is when we got the diagnosis for both of the boys, and we started learning the strategies and the resources that they needed to be successful, right, with the help of their therapists, their teachers. So we started putting that into practice in 2018 and into 2019. So into 2019, I started noticing the visual schedules were huge. They were very important for our boys. They needed to know every single kind of activity or task that they had planned for the day. They needed to know that in advance, right? If there were any changes, they needed to be prepared for those changes. So in 2019, we had our visual schedule. We had our notebook that had the Velcro with the 2x2 pet cards on it. And we were feeling good, right? But those pet cards, if you are a family on the go, we could not keep track of those. They were all throughout Durham County, okay? And we were making multiple packs, so that way if we lost a pack, we had another one on deck, and my husband would have his pack and his card if we had to make any changes. And it got to a point where I just couldn't keep track of them, right? I was losing them. My sons, they were being between school, home, grandma and grandpa's house. So at this time, I'm thinking there's got to be a better way for us to help, as a parent, for us to help support our kids and equip them with the resources that they needed to, again, thrive in their day. And I started getting this idea for like, there's a way if we can make this like digital, right? And I figured surely this is out there, right? At this time, James Preston was in pre-kindergarten, and he was having some trouble. He was, to put it lightly, my baby was struggling throughout the day. Again, just not having those notifications and reminders about transitions, not knowing what was going to happen. It was hard. And every day I would pick him up from preschool. His teacher was so sweet, and she never wanted to say that it was another hard day. She would just always say, "It's okay. We've always got tomorrow." And I would see James Preston's face getting in the car, and he would have this amazing smile. And I thought, okay, I have got to find the tool or something out there to help James Preston get through his day, to help him, remind him about his upcoming activities or events, to remind him about any transitions, to kind of lay out his day so he knows what to expect. But also, I wanted a way to be able to kind of keep in touch with the teacher and know what was happening in his day, so they wouldn't have to kind of fill out a form or do a report. It would just be a quick text, right? So at this point, it's 2019, and I'm thinking, surely this is out there. It's got to be. It's 2019. I'm seeing more and more of the event spaces in our town was having sensory-friendly nights. Like, it was more socially acceptable, if you will, right? We still have a ways to go, but still, in 2019, we were saying autism. We were transitioning from saying autism awareness to more autism acceptance. So I'm thinking, what I'm looking for is out there. And I remember coming home, and I started Googling, trying to find this tool for my son. And to my surprise, I couldn't find it. And I remember feeling defeated yet again, that I was not going to be able to meet the needs of my sons. And I went to bed, and I was still I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that in 2019, there wasn't a digital visual calendar that could bring in emotion regulation strategies, that could allow me to communicate with the teacher. Everything was single feature, right? So I could find a visual calendar, or a digital calendar, but if I wanted to do the emotion regulation features, I would have to download another app. If I wanted to talk and kind of text back and forth with the teacher to kind of get an update on his day or share pictures, I had to do a different app that the school was using. So I went to bed, like I said, feeling defeated, but the next morning I felt inspired. And with no technology background, with no business background, I said, if I can't find what I need all in one space, then I'm going to create it. And I remember having this kind of internal kind of talking to myself where I said, that's right, I'm going to create it. And then it was like the other side of me was like, you're going to create it? And I remember being like, yes, I can do this. I can do this. This is what my boys need. And they wake up every day in a world that is not designed for them. I can figure out how to create this app. I'm going to lean on our village. I'm going to lean on my resources. I'm going to lean into our networks, and I'm going to figure this out. And in 2019, that is when I started working hard within the autistic community. And I was meeting with self-advocates. I was meeting with therapists. I was meeting with teachers who specialize in special education, because I wanted to pitch this idea for the Thrive app. I wanted to present this idea of having a visual schedule that helps to organize and structure your day and routines, but that it was digital, and that we would be able to have it all within one device. And overwhelmingly, I had the support and endorsement from the community. And that was everything for me, because in my previous career, I was a community-based participatory research researcher, right? Like that is what I worked with studies. I helped researchers make sure they would outline studies and research methodologies that really connected with the community. So I knew that I was never going to go into the community and say, here is a product that I have designed for you, right? I was never going to do that. I was always going to come in and making sure I was the minority at the table, right? When it came to autism and neurodivergence, I wanted to make sure that there were more of the seats at the table from lived experiences, for people who live having the disability every day. And they gave me so much guidance and continue to give me guidance, right? And how to really structure this app. So in 2019, I took the idea from a piece of paper, like I think I even had one of James Preston's notebooks that he was using for school. I was just using it to kind of keep ideas for the app in. And 2020 came in and the pandemic hit. And more than ever, we needed a resource like this. So I decided to launch my crowdfunding campaign to start getting the prototype of the Thrive app so we can start testing it with our self-advocates and others. And at that time, we designed it for just that of the Apple Watch. And it was really exciting because we heard from Apple, because that same year in 2020, they had launched the Apple Watch SE that they were using to market towards kids and seniors. So we thought, oh, this is perfect, right? So I was able to secure my first angel investor in 2020. We were able to get our first version of the app started, and the development started the following year, February of 21. And in September of 21, we had our very first version, phase one, if you will, of the app development for that of the Apple Watch. So we learned quickly that we knew always that we wanted to kind of broaden our accessibility, right? We knew that everyone would not want or be able to wear an Apple Watch, but that was just kind of like a starting point for us, right? And in 21, like I said, we were in the App Store, and in 22, we pitched another crowdfunding campaign. I was able to secure 2 angel investors, and we were able to start developing the mobile version of the app that you are able to touch, feel, and see now in the Google Play and App Store, called the Thrive app. So August of 23, we were able to launch our mobile version of the app, like I said, that is available in the Google Play and the Apple App Store. And I cannot believe where I was in 2018, stuck in a bedroom, crying, not even wanting to use the word autism or autistic to describe my sons, to now creating a resource for the community that I'm very thankful to have the support and the endorsement of the community. And again, just so thankful to all of the self-advocates out there, and the therapists and the teachers that are so supportive and affirming of neurodivergence and the different conditions that make up kind of that label. And it's because of all of that I'm here today, and I'm so thankful for my journey. I'm thankful that my boys have been my teacher, really, in helping to not see past the autism, but to see more than just the autism, right? To be able to appreciate all that they are able to do, and to really shift that perspective from that of kind of that deficit, but more of that affirming, that strength, that positivity of what it is that they are, able to do and what they are able to contribute. And just allowing them to be my guide and educating me about autism. And I'm so thankful to the Aspika platform for allowing me the opportunity to share my story and the journey of my boys. And I'm thankful to say I'm in a much better headspace. And like I said, just a strength and just affirming position of autism. It's not to make it this, glowing diagnosis, right? Because I see every day the challenges that my sons have. I see every day the work that they put in for others to not judge them, right? For others to be able to see more than just autism, but to also be able to understand them because of the autism. So I hope that has been beneficial to any parent, grandparent, loved one, or anyone out there. It's not where they are. Do not allow the current space of where your kids are to really jade or change all of the dreams and aspirations that you have for your kids. You can still have those dreams. You can still have those aspirations, because our kids are amazing and they are going to do incredible things. And just sit back and enjoy the ride. And know that they get older, they develop, they do all kinds of amazing things, and just take it one day at a time.